Hey everybody, this is Larry Little.
And I'm Melissa Jackson.
And welcome to the RelationShifts podcast,
right.
formerly known as Crossing the Line. Now, RelationShifts, how about it, Melissa Jackson?
That's good, yes. We're going to be talking about relationships and little shifts that make a big difference.
That's right. Little shifts that make a big difference. That's kind of catchy. I like it.
It is. Good tagline.
It is a good tagline as we jump into relationships, any and all things relationships, right? So what are we going to talk about today, you think?
We are talking about legacy. You know, legacy is doing things today with tomorrow in mind, or even thinking about the future and in that aspect. But we're going to look at it in a different angle because we want to throw in love. So we want to look at legacy and love and how those go together and look at different relationships.
Well, it is Valentine's month, right? Here we are in February. And so we're going to talk about the legacy of love, huh?
That's right.
And how different generations affect that legacy. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Help us a little bit. What do we mean when we say intergenerational love? What is that?
Yeah, so we're talking about different generations. You know, there's so much research out there currently and has been on various generations and what's important, what they value and how they live and how they make decisions and how they love. And so we want to bring that into our conversation today and look at different generations and how do you make sure that you are thinking about how they love, how you love them, the relationships that you have, and being mindful of this legacy. If you have relationships with those that are older than you, how can you be mindful of the love, the relationship that you share? And then how do you make sure you're creating that legacy for those, your kids, those that are younger than you? How can you be mindful of all that?
It's easier said than done, right? I mean, we love our children. Don't get me wrong, right? Well, man, we love our children. But it's not always easy to love our children. I mean, I know you have a teenager in your home.
I do.
And are almost right at it.
Yeah.
And, I have two wonderful grown children. And you know that in my world, they have recently, they were gone. And we had this time when at separate times they lived with us. And our it was fun. It was good. We're glad that they came back. But I'm glad they're out. They're gone.
Spoken like a dad. Just spoken like a dad. On the other hand, me being a mom,
right?
I'll have to tell you a funny yesterday. I went to pick up my girl from school. Love those moments because you hear a lot. A lot of conversation going on, a lot of talking. And she was sharing with me, I am so excited, she said, to the day that I get to, live on my own, have my own apartment.
Right.
Because I'm going to, read all the time. She loves to read. And I can listen to my music and I don't have to hear mom or dad say, hey, can you turn that down?
Right.
The chipmunks all the time. It just kind of gets you. But she turned and looked at me and I probably had that mom face, kind of just like that little sad moment of what is she saying, And she said so kind and graciously, but you can come and visit me, Mom. You can come and visit me.
How kind.
No, I'm not ready for those days.
Well,
I'm not ready for your days.
Let me just help you with that, Melissa. She's also saying, not only, Mom, you can come visit me, but you can even pay for my apartment.
You didn't really think about that in that moment. Thank you. That's very logical.
Once again, right?
Yeah.
Intergenerational love, it is so important. And we are all living our legacy, right? And it's just a matter of how we're living that legacy. And you think about love and you think about families, and those are important, those who are like family. There's some data out there around the importance of intergenerational love. I mean, 90% a poll was done, and 90% of the people polled said that they believe that the stories and the values that they receive are more important than even the material wealth. They said that those values are what 90% of the people said. We value the stories, the legacies that we learn. and the values that we gain, those are more important than money.
Yeah, well, just think about for yourself, if you think about some important relationships in your life, and even if they're not still living, what you think about that sticks out in your mind. I think about my granddad and, the butterscotch candy that he would give me.
Yeah.
I think about a lady that was like my grandmother. She wasn't, my grandmother, but she was my grandmother. And what was important to me are Sunday lunches of eating together. So, those consistent things in our life that demonstrated care, demonstrated, their interest in our life, or, wanting to give us something that can bring some joy to us, or, just a little happiness, create memories. Those things are the important things.
They are. And even if they're not, even if they're not big, significant things. I remember, I remember growing up, my grandmother was, and she died when I was young, but I was like under 6. And I can remember every time we'd go to her house, she kept this blue cup by her bed, and I'd have to go drink out of the cup. I don't know why. Every time. Isn't that weird how memories, but I would have to, and she, of course, being Mama, she loved that. She thought that was just wonderful.
What was in that cup, Larry?
Well, I think it was water, but who knows? I mean, it could have been, I don't know. I was always sleepy after that drink, right? No, it is important, and that overwhelmingly says those values are important. Those stories like that are important to pass down, but even in that, over 70% of the people say we get those stories, we get those values from our family, or those who are like family. We get those from people that we have a close, loving, familial relationship with. So, I think families are important. Intergenerational love it's really, really important. And interestingly also, as I've just talked about, over 60% of people polled said it's not the big acts. It's not the big gifts. It's not the huge. It's the little daily acts of kindness. It's the little daily stories. And you think about things you remember from your childhood. You think about the things that you remember from your, and it's generally not the big, the big deal things, the big moves, and those had impact, no doubt. But the things that stay with you, that you kind of hold on to, that you learn from.
Yeah, I think that speaks so strongly to consistency, and we need to see and experience and feel and know that there is someone solid in our life, someone consistent, someone that's present, and so like you're saying, these things, stuff, those aren't the memories that stick out further down the road. For most of us, it's the things where someone truly is present on some level in our lives, and that consistency equals love.
And we have to be honest. It also can be negative. If we're in a pattern or environment of negative behavior toward us, because I know there are those listening who've suffered abuse, who've suffered lack of love, and they may be going, wow, I wish I had that kind of relationship, and I don't.
Yes.
And so it's important to know that, those things make us who we are today as well. We get to choose. We'll talk about that in a minute, how we deal with it. But those obstacles are real, and they do affect us. But it's that, I think it's that understanding how important those stories are, right? How important those values that we pass down to those that we lead, that we love, that we care about. I think creating and living a legacy of love is, once you understand it, once you go, okay, I'm really thinking about it gives us the opportunity to be intentional.
Yeah, and when you think about legacy too, and you slow down to really process, what do you have? What do you currently have in your life? What is that legacy of love? Who are those people? They can be family. They cannot, be blood related, but they're family. What do you have that you need to be mindful of? Because it is important to understand what you do have too. Bring some gratitude to those relationships, they're not perfect. They're never going to be perfect. But what are those relationships that you need to know and be thankful for what you have? The friend that calls you up and it checks on you.
That's right.
The person at work that consistently connects with you and you talk about your weekend and talk about life stuff and what's going on. Those relationships that there's a true value and interest in where you are in life.
All right. So think about your life and think about a time in your past that you felt this story, you experienced a story, and you felt either love or lack of love, whichever way you want to go with it. Tell us about a time when you felt loved or not, but a story in your life. Tell us about a story.
Well, goodness, I can think of last night. Here I am, and we're busy. We got school things going on, and we're running 90 to nothing. And the next thing I know, my mom's calling me. My mom wanted to do something for me, a specific task, and so here is mom calling me saying, I'm at the door. I'm right at the door. I'm coming in. And, Mom, what are you doing? Well, I forgot to do this for you.
Yeah.
And here she is
coming
to make sure that she helps me. And she wants to do that for me to show me that she loves me. Now, I had it. I was about to do it. It's my responsibility to do it. And so, but she wanted to.
I love
and so,
that.
I needed to receive.
You needed to receive.
I needed to be able to receive that and know that she made an effort. Could I do it? Sure, but she wanted to, and she made an effort. And so, there's a place to receive that and be thankful for that, even if it's uncomfortable a little bit.
Love that. What a story. What a legacy she's living. And your, almost 80 mom they're giving and creating and living that legacy for you and for Ellie and for all you guys to see. She's not just saying it, she's doing it.
That's right.
And Mimi, she's one of a kind.
She is.
There's no doubt. She's amazing. So my story goes back a ways further than last night, but just a little bit. But when I was like a teenager. So my dad, you have to know contextually, his dad was this big, just Irish. He's got a lot of Irish in his family, the rosy cheeks, the whole thing. So my dad has always been affectionate. He's always been, and that's the way I grew up. I didn't know any different. Unless, there's like a lot of love, a lot of hard times, not a lot of wealth, not a lot of money at times, but a lot of love. I had a lot of love, which was great when you're a child. But, I never will forget that when, as a teenager, I'm a young teenager, young buck on the basketball team, trying to find out. It didn't matter to him. It did not matter to him where we were. It didn't matter to him who was there. If I had the guys with me, if I had a girlfriend with me, it didn't matter. If I were going to leave the house or leave his presence, even like after a basketball game, whatever. Come here, son, let me give you a kiss. And he would kiss me on the cheek.
I love it.
You just finally, you kind of got used to it. And I tolerated it and accepted it because that's all I knew. But when I got to be a dad, now what do you think I do when I see my grown son? I don't care if he likes it or not. He gets a kiss on the cheek and a hug. And same thing to my daughter because that's the way we raised them. But that was a legacy piece that affection, that affirmation physically of just hugging and giving a kiss on the cheek and saying I love you. We can't leave without saying I love you. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I was over there one night this week checking on he and mom, and guess what I had to do before I left? Come here and give me a kiss, Larry. Of course, absolutely. So it never goes away.
I love it. And I hope you are passing that down to Landon. And
right.
I hope Landon does that as well. What a legacy there. Beautiful gift.
And that's what I think a legacy of love, living that legacy looks like.
That's right.
I think. And
that's right.
So those things are important. We're talking about some things we can do. So maybe you're listening and you find yourself going, okay, I want to just make some little changes. I want to make some shifts, if you will, in my behavior, so that I could be more intentional about living this legacy of love. Maybe you're thinking, man, I've got some people that I need to be more intentional about. I want to give you, let's talk about 3 things that you can do so that you can shift in your relationships, so that you can make that shift.
First of all, I want you to be aware that you have a legacy. That they look for that, look for and be mindful of what you do have, and make sure you're drawing on what you do have. But if you're thinking about, well, how can I replicate, or what can I do to make sure I'm choosing to keep the legacy going, or I'm creating a legacy. Maybe I haven't had one in this area, but I'm going to choose to create a legacy. I'm going to invest in and create something long term. So we want you to be mindful of the small acts that they make a big difference. The small things that you do for those that you love, the small tokens of acts of love that you give, the consistency that you provide, what you're doing, being mindful that it means showing up.
That's right.
It means being emotionally present. It means being able to be available. The small things, whether it's a task, whether you're doing something, maybe you don't want to, but you're choosing to do that because you know that other person needs that. It's the small acts of love that over time really begin to build.
Yeah, that's exactly
it really creates equity.
That's so good.
Love equity on a different level.
Love equity. I love that. That is so good. And so it doesn't have to be big things, small things. A smile, listen, spend some time. You said be present, be there, be engaged. I think
not perfect. Well, be present, be present.
And that brings us to the second thing. Okay, small things matter, so be intentional. But the second thing is, you may be thinking, I can't do this because I mess it up. I can't do this because I have so much on me right now. I can't do this because I can do this. The second thing is, you got to give yourself permission to love. You got to love yourself in your imperfection. Love yourself in your mess ups. Love yourself when you fail, so that you can give yourself away to others.
I think that's one that can easily be said, but can be difficult to realize when you're not doing that at times. And I evaluate that more with like grace, showing yourself grace. In this parenting generation, there's all kinds of parenting tips and helps, and do this and make sure you're not doing this, and all these things that are out there that can just cause you to be consumed and overconsumed, and you can kind of lose the perspective that we're human. We're gonna mess up. It's important that you do something with your mess ups. It's important that you demonstrate grace. So to me, loving yourself, you gotta kind of give yourself permission to mess up. Do something about it, but also you gotta have some grace.
Yeah, I love that word, because I found in my life, when I give myself grace, I'm more likely to give others grace.
Yeah,
and I think
that can be hard to do.
Oh, it's very difficult to do.
It can be hard to do.
But I like that word you use, grace. I think that's something we can hold on to and aspire to really give ourselves grace, so that we can give others grace. So small things, give yourself grace. I love that. I love that word.
That's love.
That's love. Love yourself by giving yourself grace. And then the third one, what is it?
The third one, we want to say to truly think about overcoming obstacles. The truth is we all have obstacles. And when we think or we look at another person or family or individual or whoever, and when we think that their life looks, like they just have so much fun and their life is wonderful, and we really fool ourselves, because the truth is everybody struggles.
That's right.
Everybody has obstacles. Sometimes some obstacles are more difficult and heavier than others, for sure, most definitely. But we all have obstacles, so we need to understand that there's a level playing field. There really is. And obstacles are going to come. They're going to be evident in our life. They're going to challenge us on lots of different levels, professionally, personally, emotionally, all different levels. And we really need to be able to accept that and make some choices around overcoming some obstacles.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And here's the thing. Everybody has mess.
Yeah.
Everybody has stuff in their life. Everybody. So if you wait to show someone love, and if you wait until they deserve it, you're never going to give it to them. Loving and living a legacy of love is not about giving love where it's deserved. It's about, I'm going to love you through the hard times. I'm going to love you when you don't deserve to be loved. I'm going to love you. That word unconditionally comes to my mind. And that's a choice. That's a choice to say, obstacles are going to come. We all have mess. There will be, you can come up with a million reasons why you shouldn't demonstrate love to someone that you care about, even, or that's important to you, because they're gonna fail. They're gonna mess up. They're gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
So this thing about loving through obstacles is so important. Loving and living a legacy of love is not easy. It's hard. It's difficult. But making that commitment to say, I'm going to love you through the hard times.
That's right. Somebody that I really look up to so wise says, love is action. Love is about taking action. Love doesn't sit back and ponder, over ponder. Love is not, it's not passive.
Right.
Love steps out. And in order to do that, in order to have a legacy, these things are so important that you make sure you understand, you create that equity through small acts, you give grace, and you love yourself so you can love others, and that you choose to overcome obstacles.
Wow. So I hope that you're thinking, because here's the question for our listeners and for us, right? What are we willing to do? What are we willing to shift in our behavior? What relationships are you willing to make? I want you to be very intentional about this. Think about it. What small things can you do? How can you begin to love yourself? How can you love through obstacles better? What are some? Now try to list a couple, list 2 or 3 of things you're going to do in this next 30 days. What are you going to do in this February month of love to live your legacy of love? What shifts are you going to make? What relationships are you going to make to speak into the life of those that you care about and those you love?
That's right, because little shifts make a big difference.
Yes, they do. And so I'm going to shift right now into, what has become just a fan favorite. Everybody clamors for it. Robin, our producer, and both of you look forward to this. I know you it excites
Robin
you.
loves it. She's like in this legacy of love that you're creating.
She's loving this. This is the dad joke segment, and it scares Melissa and Robin to death because I don't let them see and embed
really
this joke.
It really does.
This is a good one. You're gonna like this one, guys. Okay, are you ready? You guys ready? Okay. What do you call a Roman leader putting on clothes? Oh, see, you're nervous. You're nervous.
So my mind just goes blank.
What do you call a Roman leader putting on clothes?
Tell us.
Are you ready? Caesar dressing. Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's so good. See, yeah, wasn't that good? Hey, thank you for laughing with us. We hope that you had a couple of things here that you heard that can help you to shift in those relationships. Little shifts do make a big difference. It's been a great pod, Melissa. Thank you for your wisdom and sharing with us today. I think we're off to a pretty good start. What do you think?
I think so too. We're going to have some more good dad jokes. Stay tuned.
Coming your way. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of those you love, live with, and lead. We'll see you next time.